Hi, I'm Susan Kennard, and you found the Spiritual Awakener podcast. Thank you so much for joining us here. This is a podcast where you're going to hear stories from people who have had a turning point or an awakening moment in their life that's led them to work with the collective. Now, most people, like myself, and you can find my story on episode 1, have had many experiences in their life that have been emotional awakenings, turning points, and leading to spiritual awakenings. So when I speak to my guests, they may have more than one, and you have probably got more than one, but I'm quite excited for this one. So I'm really excited to meet and explore and understand my guest today. So Daniel, welcome to the show. Explain who you are.
Uh, Thanks, Susan. I'm so grateful to be here. So yes, I'm Daniel Hanneman, and in the world, who I am is I help people to really get into their depth and into that centered place within themselves to really bring forth to be the guardians of the light that you are. To those that are listening, you know who you are, and to rock it out with great impact and great success in your businesses from that place. And so that's basically what I do.
That's beautiful. And I think that a lot of people who work in the spiritual world sometimes struggle with that. You know, it's monetizing what you do and seeing that as a gift. And a lot of people see it as a gift because it is a gift, but it's also who everybody is. And so which you'll talk about, and it's there's no difference between you or I or somebody who works in a different company. You know, we all are bringing something to the world, and it's fine to charge for it, and it's fine to value your worth, isn't it, Daniel? So Daniel, obviously this is called the Spiritual Awakener, and I'm really excited that you're here because you're going to explain and talk about maybe one or two moments, or maybe even more moments that led you to be the incredible soul connector and abundance worker that you are. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So, wow. I mean, it's been a long journey, and from being a kid that was shy and just really inward, and just really felt the sense of what is all the hysteria about? What's all the drama about that people experience? Because I had that connection, I had that awareness of everything is fine. Why don't the people just love each other and everybody chill out and all that stuff? And then as I continued to grow up and I got into the teenage years, and everybody else, is not saying I was not in any of it, but like as people got more crazy as they're going through, oh, we're going into adulthood and we're supposed to buy into all these programs. I was like, I was feeling very depressed and anxious, feeling like I want to be about spiritual leadership. Now, I could have told you in my mind all that at the time, but I could feel that energy inside. I felt myself bleeding in the spirit. And I put up on the school board, they'd say, what's important to you? What do you value? I'd say, one day I put up on the board, God, and like, everybody's like, whoa, that was so powerful, the way you put that on the board and everything.
Yeah.
It was a memorable moment. And, but yeah, as I was trying to figure myself out. I was trying to clear up all this angst and anger and rage I had inside. I had that feeling of not wanting to be around. And so I got into therapy and everything. And I remember talking to my first person I went to see about how I was feeling. And I says, yeah, and I feel like I have power. I have special powers, or I don't know how I put it at the time, but I could move objects. I could blow stuff up if I wanted to, and all this stuff. So, okay, our psychiatrist, very interesting. Literally was saying that back at that time. And yeah, immediately I was given, like, I don't know, bipolar with psychotic features or something like that. They're like, you're just nuts.
Borderline personality disorder. That's the usual one as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just put that all in the closet then afterwards. I'm like, oh, okay, well, we don't talk about that then, So I did that. And then, so for years, I tried to work it through, like I said, creative writing, journaling. I got into studying psychology in school. Then because I was so inward, I got into copier sales for a while because I had this spirit that wanted to get out there, And I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm supposed to learn about sales. I feel like I'm supposed to get into it. So I did that and did those 100 plus cold calls a week and all that good stuff. And so I learned to go from being painfully shy to actually be able to show up. And
Wow.
I had success in that. I was extremely persistent.
Yeah.
And I didn't do great with sales, but I was so persistent, they couldn't let me go. So eventually, we both kind of agreed it wasn't my thing to do, though, after a few years. And then I went back to school, got my master's in clinical psychology, and I worked in various counseling jobs. I picked up a little bit more certifications, hypnosis, hypnotherapy.
And
I
do
also
you feel, I mean, that's my background as well. And I feel like it's really helpful to have that background. Definitely when we're working with people in a spiritual sense, in a soul sense, because it gives that credibility. Would you say, Daniel, that it's really helped you? It definitely has me.
Yeah, it can help. Can help. Yeah, people are like,
Mm.
"Oh, okay, wow, okay, you got an actual degree and all that sort of thing." So
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely, and it helps too. And my understanding of people, I can dial into people not
Yeah.
only intuitively, but because of my background, it's a whole different way I see all the pieces put together. Right?
Yeah.
So you know what that's like. So yeah, it definitely has helped a lot. And through all those experiences, of course, there's more counseling and more this and more that, on and
Yes.
off meds, stuff. But I just, I had a fighting spirit, and I was so, like in graduate school, I was shunned by my teachers because I asked too many questions. That
Mm.
I listened too much in the clinicals when they watch you. They says you're just sitting there listening, and what's that all about? And I know what I was doing. I was tuning into them deeply, and I was like
You
working
were.
with right?
Mm.
And I was just awkward because I had my own way of approaching it, and I wasn't finding my way at that time. But anyway, the bottom line is I they released me. They held me back actually for about a year, working on different stuff. Even though they all thought I was amazing at assessment, you say you're dialed in. We don't know how you figure all this stuff out, but there's these other things. But anyway, got through that. So that was like an example of like, oh, I'm kind of different, I guess.
Yeah.
The
So was
norm.
that kind of like almost like so what I'm seeing kind of clairvoyantly here is like a dial, almost like the dial was being turned up with you. Each experience you had there, the dial was being turned up. This is why I'm kind of getting clairvoyantly. And so in a way, you were already awakened, right? But the dial was just being turned up. And you were like, hang on a minute, I must be slightly different here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, awakening to the fact that I had those gifts started.
Mm.
People would come to me with their clinicals. They're like, "Hey, you're good at figuring this stuff out." Like the smartest people in the class would come to me. I'm like, "Okay, all right, sure. I'll tell you what I think."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was really, really kind of cool to see that gift, but I still felt so lost because they're
Mm.
telling me you've got such deficits in how you interact with people and all this stuff. So
Yeah.
anyway, so I got through all that. I did get fired my first job, like immediately. They just said like, yeah, you're not fitting in and all that stuff.
Oh,
And
wow.
then so I had all these kind of experience, but I started working with a chronically
So,
mentally
so,
ill, and all
so
of a
that
sudden
was a blessing, right? Getting fired from your job. That was a blessing.
it was total
Yeah.
blessing. Yeah, it was an absolutely perfect redirect. But yeah, when I started working with, they call the chronically mentally ill.
Mm.
Now I was a great person. I was a great fit right in with like I fit right in because I actually was listening deeper than what the symptoms and all that stuff, and that was really helpful to the
Perfect.
audience. And then I had
Yeah.
other counseling jobs and whatnot. But yeah, and I also I got into science of mind. If you've all ever heard of that, it's religious science or science of mind by Ernest Holmes developed that, and it's basically metaphysics. So I became a
Yeah.
metaphysician, studied in that, served in churches. So all this stuff, I'm trying to fast forward to the awakening moment. Let's get to the awakening. So I did all these things, and then I had a private practice on the side where I was doing therapy and hypnosis and all that. And then
Yeah.
one point I just like I want to finally do my deeper work in the world, whatever that is. And then in the 2000s I got online and started horsing around there trying to help people as like a coach and all that. And then
Yeah.
I started doing channeling. I just started I started tuning into that.
Yeah.
And through that and meditation, all my spiritual practices, life just started getting really wavy, and I just started having these.
Explain to people listening, what does it mean? Well, I know what it means, but what does wavy mean? What does, when you
Yeah.
channel, what does it mean, wavy?
Yeah, yeah. Well, not only when I was channeling, but when I was out of channeling, I many times I would just have this feeling of it's when people talk about the veil lifting and things like that. It's
Yeah,
kind of like that. It's like, oh my God, this so-called reality of my life is very porous. It's just
yeah,
that I felt like, the way I put it to people is like, it's the feeling like I could walk through a wall, kind of feeling. And it was a time when I had this little, like many, many experiences, but one, like I had a cut on my finger. I'm like, oh yeah, this is so unreal. I could just switch my hand around and turn it back and it'll be gone. And it happened that way. I'm like, oh, okay. See, I knew it was not real. And like, so I was
and
in this.
that's about this, the believing is seeing, isn't it? So a lot of people say, to pick up what you said, seeing is believing. Well, actually, you've got to believe vibrationally, haven't you? And
Mhm,
also consciously, you're talking about here, to see.
mhm.
And often it's the other way around. People say, well, I'm not going to, and I was definitely like that, before I saw spirit. If I hadn't seen spirit, I never would have believed, right? Because I was a scientist. The old days was, we've got to see to believe. And now it's very much, you've got to be in your belief. You've got to really be in your vibrational belief to see, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, on that level of things, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to have a receptivity at least to be able to see it. I mean, you have to
Yeah.
be open to it. And you don't necessarily have to believe it completely consciously, of course, but you have to just be open to it at least.
Open.
And then you can
Hmm.
have the experience can unfold. Then you can be, it can become something that you experience. And that's what
Yeah.
was happening to me is I had all these abilities to be able to tune into people that just deepened during that time. I felt like at one event I was at, we were up, I was up late at night and everything, and I was tired. So my energy was even more open, and I
Yeah.
started like, people are speaking on the mics, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm in your energy field. I'm seeing through your eyes, and it was just this kind of experience. And then just that I just felt like I just knew everything, and I was connected to everything. I had specifically more of that experience when I put my third eye on a crystal skull one time, and like I just had this big, like, I know everything. I'm connected to everything, and it's hard to explain it. It
Yeah.
doesn't sound logical, right? How could you know everything all at once? But I just how I felt. I felt like I know everything,
So it
and
sounds to me almost like, so if people listening, it sounds to me sort of like, we are universe, we are soul, we are consciousness, which obviously, we know, but not everyone knows that. But if they could imagine, it's almost like you become part of the universe, the all knowing, the all seeing, the all feeling, and there is no separation, right? And
yeah,
so I think that is that what you experience, this kind of no separation.
yeah, it's hard. It's almost impossible to put it into words
Yeah.
what it was, but it was as though there were so many, like there was such a sense of like pictures, images, and sense of connection that I was just like, it's like I know I'm connected to all of it.
Wow.
Like I just know everything. Like that feeling. Then once my mind says, "Oh my God, this can't be real,"
Yeah.
boom, it's shut down right
There we
away.
are.
But it came in long
Mm.
enough to where I was like, wow. Then I asked for guidance on how to harness this capacity that showed up within me, and then I was given this energy scan technique where I was able to ground my energy to sustain that kind of connection and be
Yeah.
able to read people's energies to help them.
Incredible.
Yeah, and that was the beginning of me getting out in the world in a bigger way, because I was able to actually start thriving financially, and
Yeah.
I started reaching more and more people, and ultimately I ended up training hundreds of people now to be able to do that, to be able to
Wow.
do the
So what
energy
do you
scanning.
call that, Daniel? What do you call that? Obviously it's scanning, but what do you call it?
Yeah, it's called energy scanning. So
Energy scan. So you teach, it's one of the things you do, teach people how to energy scan. Hmm.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, and do the healing and all that as well, and then to be able to gain new clients, through utilizing free or whatever, it's an intro session sort of thing,
Yeah.
is to be
Hmm.
able to scan people's energies and to
Hmm.
connect with them in that deep way.
Yeah.
And then, what that points into for some people, if people start with me there, is kind of a whole nother way of being. It's about being awake. It's about coming
Yeah.
from that deeper place and ourselves more deeply connecting with everything. And so it's hard, again, these things are hard to put into words, but
Yeah.
to serve from that place, when people get really connected to it, they start increasingly, they have more of a sense of maybe it's okay to be, visible. Maybe it's okay to, have clients and maybe get paid some money for it,
That's really good. So
right?
it's giving them the confidence, right?
Yeah,
So what I'm
yeah,
hearing from you is giving people the confidence that they also are soul in a body having this human experience, that they actually can scan energy fields. And, because to be honest, we're all the same. We just don't know it. And so everyone has their own, this is just my feeling, but everyone has their own thing, their own gift, their own reason for being here in the world.
right.
Okay. And they will come in however they're meant to come in. But this is one way, isn't it,
Yes.
for people to access and remember. And I feel it's about remembering. I don't think it's really about learning anything, is it, Daniel, in this life? It's all about remembering, who we truly are. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so we play the forgetting game and all that stuff. Oh, I don't know anything. I'm not intuitive. So
Yeah.
that's how people come in when they go to work with me. They're like, I didn't like there's a number of people that sign up to do the training and they're like, I don't believe I'll be able to do this, but well, I'll sign up. Let's see what I see. Let's see.
They were guided. They were guided. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
They were guided.
They do it anyway. And then when they are able to do it, they're like, I thought I wasn't going to be able to do this, but I signed up anyway to learn. And then they are always blown away. And so very few people come in, that, there are some people that know they can do it, but,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot that don't. They don't even believe they could do it. And then I show them. So I was given a sole choice to either just keep the what I knew about all this to myself or share with them. My soul was like, oh my God, you got to share this with people. You got to let
Yeah.
people know what they can do. And in fact, it's my mission to let as many people know as possible that they're capable of such things. And
See, I love that. When you said it's my mission to help people know that they have this possibility, and it's my mission to get people on their mission, right? So similar in a way, but that's kind of what I talk about. And do you feel that when you stepped out of the closet, I call it, you're not in that way, but in the sense of you stepped out and you said, I'm owning that I'm soul in a body having a human experience and I'm here to help and serve. Do you feel that was a moment when you started to see that abundance, because our birthright is abundance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So did you notice that came in more when you stepped out and it's literally just took your jacket off, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it started making it available because I struggled a lot. I mean, I stacked up huge debt and had all kinds of things. I couldn't pay my bills, couldn't buy food, all that stuff.
And people are going to be listening to this, Daniel, and in this position, right? So we want to give them hope for this, that when they do really listen to their soul, their mission, we talk about, then the doorway's open. I definitely agree with this. So yeah, carry on.
Yeah, so it allowed it to start becoming available because I had this tool, I had confidence in it, and I would share with people that the stumbling block I had next thing I had to move through was the fact that I still had a hard time just getting out of the whole, like, I'm just here to serve. I'm not here for your money. I'm not here to try to make you do anything. In fact, you're perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying you're perfect. And see you later. By the way, you could hire me. But see you later. You're perfect.
Yeah. So you didn't add the bit on the end. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Work with me, right? So eventually I just got in a mode where I was just like, everything got so bad in a sense. You get that point, and I was just like, that's it. No matter what, the next person's signing up, and it was probably more than one moment, but I have this one moment I remember with a client. I'm like, today this person signed up. I don't care what they tell me. That's how I felt that day. And I got on the phone and I shared, the opportunity, whatever, to work with me, and she goes, and of course, everyone's just you, right? So they're just like, she's like, are you really sure? I said, yes, I am. Get your credit card out. We're getting this done right now. And I thought I was being so aggressive and everything. And then what would happen a lot of times when I thought I was aggressive, people would say, like her, they would say, oh, thank you for being so gentle and such a caring, nurturing soul and taking a stand for me. And for me, I thought I was being mean and too
Yeah.
aggressive. And everything.
Yeah.
So I started realizing that it was okay to be that, like, you know, and in
Yeah.
fact, that's what my tribe was looking for. And so that's when things started shifting dramatically financially for me. And, you know, raised me up in the six figures, and then
That's
multi
brilliant. Yeah.
training people how to do it. So
Yeah.
so the rest was history from there, in a sense. So as far
And
as
do
that
you
goes.
think that the training people to do it was, you know, like the massive pivotal point? Like, you can be yourself, you can be your one-man band, as an expression here in the UK, you can be that. But when you start to really train people in what you do you feel that that was a real turning point as well?
Yeah, it was, because for me, I believe I was on a trajectory of getting a hugely inflated ego with what
Mm.
I was doing. Because I was like, it's like, because people are praising you, they're almost bowing to you. I mean, back then,
Mm.
you got to understand, this was many years ago. And back then, it wasn't as common as people can do all these things, right? That
Yes, I
people do
know.
that. So they're
Mm.
like, whoa, how can you do, you know, it still happens, but like it was even more so back then. And I was like, wow, I just realized too at that time, like, I was awake to, like, man, I could abuse this power. I mean, like,
Mm.
you know, the guru status and all that. And I was like, okay, well, I of course wasn't going to do that.
Yes.
Like, well, I could try to take this and help people by being that guru and, you know, be that
Yeah.
transmission to them in that way. But I was like, no, I feel like I want other people to be awake to the gifts that they have, just like me,
Yeah.
so that they see me as different, you know?
Yeah.
So that's when I did that, I think it really was huge in diffusing the ego and allowing me to come from that place of just wanting to share this, you know, share this with the world. So I felt that helped me on so many levels of well-being, and then the
Yeah.
success too. You know, in a way that will not crash. Some people do all that other stuff, and
Hmm.
I'm not saying it never works out, but if it has ego inflation, it's going to crash in some way or form or fashion.
Do you
And
know, I
because
agree with you. And I think that's the, you know, as a medium, and I've been a medium for like 30 years, that I've known about, there are quite a lot of sensational mediums, meaning sensational, with the lights and stars and theatre stage and stuff. And many of them have actually crashed. And I think the reason for that is because when you're doing it from a place of pure unconditional love and service, because you want somebody to heal from it, you know, because we're obviously doing that for a reason, right? um and not doing it for the celebrity, for the lights and the power. And unfortunately, there has to be something where there's a wake up call that says this is not what this is about, you know.
right,
And I have noticed that as time has gone on, where I 100% think we have to stand in our power. I definitely think success is for everybody. I don't think we need to not charge for our service. I 100% don't feel that. And I feel that the more we are able to create abundance, the more freedom we have. And so therefore, the more people you can reach, which we know, don't we? Because there are many opportunities that drop in. But when we're just focusing on one way of doing it, which is for our own egocentric attention,
hmm,
that's when things change. And so that's the bit to turn around, isn't it, with people, is that, you know, everyone has the ability to bring their gifts to the world. I have a mentor program called Bringing Your Spiritual Gifts to the World. But it's bringing it to the world, knowing that you're worthy and deserving of success, but also knowing that you have this incredible soul that wants to help lots of other people. And it's those two things, I feel, do you, that are in alignment with it, and not the lights and stars and fame. That isn't necessarily what it's about.
correct. I mean, that's the thing that gets in the way of
Mm.
helping in a deeper transmission. Because for me, it's about the depth of the transmission. It's always about the depth, deep depth. Because
You've
if
always
we,
been deep, right?
I always talk a lot about Eckhart Tolle, because
Yeah, I love
he's
him.
depth of transmission. So I always say to people, well, you know, you want to make $1 million, blah blah blah. Well, I mean, you can have that, but look at Eckhart Tolle. He's not even focused on wanting to make all this money, and he's just focused on the impact. And he makes more money than everybody combined, kind of.
And he was on a park bench, right? Wasn't he? And he was on a park bench. I met him actually in London, not on a park bench, but when he was at one of his events. And he's like a normal everyday guy, right? That went through what he went through, but is here to have humor with his message and let people know that they're only in the now. And I love that, about him. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's trusting that. For me, what I've had to deal with over the years is there's the part that wants to withdraw, but then there was also a part that wanted to push too. And once I let the pusher come out, then it got like to be a lot sometimes there. So in terms of just within myself and my business and stuff. So for me, it's always about just being in the center, and I've had to really cultivate that, and I love teaching that to people, no matter where they are on their path with everything, is to help them to do that. But usually people are drawn to work with me, they're looking for that foundation to really get their big work going in the world.
Yeah.
And sometimes the foundation could be energy scanning, believe it or not, or it could be just like, hey, I need a guide to be able to do my greatest work, and I become that energetic key. My guides tell me, you're the energetic key. You get their energy in that alignment, and then they can let it come from that deeper place rather than out of fear or domination or
all the shoulds.
Yeah.
All the shoulds that are on the shoulders. Yeah. So tell me, so say there's people listening and they want to hear more about your work. So say when someone came to see you, or do you work remotely like this? Do you work remotely as well? Or
I just work by the internet and phone and all that. So I do in-person stuff to some degree. So, but yeah, mostly I do like I got a trip to Sedona I'm going to be doing and whatnot. But I typically I'm working by phone or the internet most of the time.
Which is the way forward for us, especially with the climate at the moment, of course, because as we're recording this, for anybody who is listening a year later or 2 years later, we are having to stand fully in our light. We're having to stand fully in our trust. And the reason for that, for people listening, is that there is something in the world at the moment called the coronavirus. Okay. So, and there are many people that are feeling fear. And there are many people that are in this vibration of fear, which is really not about today. It's really about the sum of the parts of where people have come from. And so what we're having to do, Daniel, myself, and my students and his students and all of those that have got that little light inside of them, and they know that there's so much more than our physical body, we are having to really be present and really be in that space of love and expansion, and realizing that there's nothing outside of you that can ever affect you, if you feel that you stand in your soul's integrity and your soul's power, and you realize that you're so much more than this physical body. So just to kind of set the scene a little bit. So so working online is brilliant, isn't it? Because we can reach so many people. And I live in the UK and I work internationally. And you live where? Where are you, Daniel?
I'm in the suburbs of Chicago here in the USA, Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah.
So Chicago. So, people want to come see you, they can come see you there. Or they can work like this online, and we're actually doing this interview on Zoom. And they can reach you by, they might just have a little question that they know that there's something more for them. Is that the kind of people, you meet people that have this kind of, well, I know there's something more for me, and I know I need to be exploring that. Is that the kind of person that will come to you, and conscious people as well?
Yeah, there are people who want to use their gifts to help the world in business, through a business, and are already been doing that, or or just really wanting to get going with it. Sometimes that's true. Or maybe they've already actualized, a smaller percentage of people already actualized some real success, but feel like, I'm not in my depth. I'm not in that deeper, I'm not really centered in that. I need your help, Daniel, to help me with that. And
wow.
with that and getting into their deeper gifts, their deeper transmissions.
So
So
you
all
scan them, so they come and see you, or they work with you like you're talking to me now, and you scan them. So,
that's
for people listening, what does that mean? What do you do? Do you get into the depths of their body? Do you scan them at cell level? Because some people listening would be like, hang on a minute, do I really want him to go into me? So how does it work? So what would you do? Explain it.
Yeah, I mean, I could give you a quick example if you want me to. I mean, would that be helpful?
Why not? I don't mind you coming into my energy.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I'll give you a quick examples. I primarily focus in on the chakras and your overall energy, and I just start sharing things. So, for example, as I tune into Susan, and I've done thousands of these now. So as I tune into Susan, it's like you have a true, a remarkable openness in your crown chakra. Like there's definitely there is that soft energy I do see in the past where there's a hard-headedness, and that might come in every once in a while, like, no, I'm doing it anyway. That kind of thing comes in sometimes, might want to take over, but you've become more, no, it just is, we're letting it all unfold, and that kind of thing. It's more like what's taken over more. I do see like wounds in the things you probably know about, but like it's almost like a shotgun wound in your back of your head or something. Like there's this like something
Nice.
happened like in the past life back ahead. So I noticed that a lot of energy back there.
Hear
Yeah.
that? Thank you.
So persecution, like I see universally for people from past lives, people that come to me, I see that there's something about you. It doesn't feel like a cross, but you're hanging on something. So something with might have been a cross, but like it feels more like you're hanging on top of something. So I see a heaviness on the back. So so I noticed that. So the sense you may feel at times like a sense of things just being too heavy, like this is getting to be all a little bit too much. So
I
that
think definitely it used to be like that.
yeah, exactly.
Definitely. Yeah.
Took the words out of my mouth. I says, especially that would have been true in the past.
Yeah.
As we let go of the heaviness, it's like our angel wings unfurl, and we start to realize, oh, everything could be lighter and easier, and that sort of stuff. So I noticed that. But yeah, and then you've got a really clear, open energy for your third eye. Yeah, I just think like you might have momentary lapses of some of the old stuff, like you come from this wound, like keep feeling from this wound,
Goodness me, how dare someone shoot me in the back of the head?
yeah, it's kind of like might show up as injustice. It might show up as like, yeah, this isn't right. A lot of that stuff might show up in moments. Sometimes I think you get over it kind of fast these days, but it's how it comes across. But I can still feel the energy. And of course, all wounds serve our purpose. So yeah, justice is a good thing, and
Oh
divine
yeah,
justice.
I'm a girl for justice. Yeah.
So, and then we go to other chakras briefly. It's just throat chakra. There definitely is some issues there with the energy still constriction. So
Wow.
that is a place where I do feel constriction. So I do feel like it's one of the qualities I see in sometimes the people is I feel like there's so much information that wants to be shared, and
Wow.
it feels kind of like there's something holding it back, and I'm kind of guided to your solar plexus. And then it does feel like the visibility thing, like as much as visible as you might be now, like I'm getting like, okay, next level of visibility,
Yeah.
next level expression. It feels like we need to have a little bit more of a safety container, and like, okay, here we can operate. There, I'm not so sure yet, like, so I've got that
Well,
feeling.
that's interesting because I literally just finished channel my book, so it's ready for the next visibility. Yeah,
Oh,
and obviously my
wow.
podcast and my book. We're doing this in 2020, just in March. But by the time 6 months comes, that'll probably be out. So that's the next visibility, and it's quite a big one. So I'm excited. But yeah, I don't know if I've got anything where I'm nervous, but I'm excited.
Yeah. So this is good. So this shows that it's wanting to expand, and
Yeah.
it's wonderful. But yeah, I mean that's great. I mean you obviously work on your energy a lot,
Yeah.
so gotten into a real connection and a real flow. the thing I'm focusing in on is these deeper subtle energies that are influencing us, even when we feel like, man, no, I'm in my power, I'm fully on, everything's working,
Yeah, it's really
all
good.
positive, it's all good. I see where the energies are, still not, really, there's stuck energy. There's still more potential, and
Yeah.
so
Wow.
that's
Well,
what I.
that's great because, I love more potential, and I'm always like looking for more. I'm always kind of listening to where I best serve, where I best create more visibility so that I can help others in that way and more expanded way. So,
Yeah,
just to say for people listening that, whatever you've brought in with you, it does, like Daniel said, serves a purpose. Because imagine, I know my guide said to me like several years ago, imagine if we, I said, can we not just walk through an archway and just wash off everything, that all the past life trauma, all the soul imprints, everything we don't need? Can we not just do that? And they're like, because when we see so many people in pain, right? And so they said, well, what was be the point of being here, right? So everybody that's listening that may have had childhood trauma, I work with that a lot, may have had experiences like that, don't let it define you. Use it as an aspect of yourself. And yes, definitely work with someone to heal those vibrational imprints and at cellular level, but don't see it as that was awful, I'll never amount to anything, I was abused or whatever happened. It's, Daniel, it's really about the potential that set of experiences have led that person to be, wouldn't you say?
exactly. I mean, it's about
Mm.
evoking more potential. That's why we get into presencing what the wounds are. A lot of times when I train people on this, it's like they will avoid talking to people about their pains and what the issues are,
The
or
story. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. They don't want to feel that sadness. They're empathic. They don't want to feel that for their clients. But
Yeah,
that's where there's so much opportunity. That's where the greatest opportunities are, really. And so when
absolutely.
you get into those places and you can presence that for what it really is and the potential that lies within it, that's where there's so much more. That's why, if anything, we should be like, like really looking at the wounds we have. Like for you too, I get this, your head being chopped off too. Like it just keeps back to you. I'm like, boom, chopped. So it's like,
I was probably a witch many times,
yeah, yeah,
and and I see that in the Akashic records many times with people as well, that especially
yeah,
the ones that are really coming out to realize that they were healers in other lifetimes and so on. And many people carry this, I'm scared of being a healer, I'll be killed for being a healer. And I don't carry that, but there's probably um these still vibrational imprints of,
yeah,
if I say that, especially with light language, if I say that, my head's going to get cut off.
yes,
Isn't that
yes.
interesting that that's there?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can still see the energy there. So here's the thing: there are thousands of scanning people, not only that are more traumatized and whatnot, and haven't maybe worked through a lot of things, but people that have worked through tons of things
Oh
and
yeah.
are very high vibration. Everyone has subtle imprints. They all have something going on,
Yeah.
and the idea we're trying to get rid of it all is ridiculous. It's a matter of just being aware. It's awareness. It's awareness of what is in the field, and then through that awareness, we have an opportunity to, see what wants to really come forth from that woundedness.
Yeah.
And it's always more light, more potential, more of the higher expression. So, the wound points into the opportunity, and so that's
Yes.
that's why we can really say, like, thank you to everything and everything that's happened.
Yeah.
I mean, a great awakener can be trauma. So, oh, this horrible thing happened. It's trying to wake you up. The trauma, the wounds are just trying to wake you up. They're your friends. The people attacking you are just trying to wake you up.
and
When you
i
say,
and
oh,
I love that, because I always teach
wake you
that
up.
the outside world, so our outside experience is the reflection of our inside experience. So if your bank account has nothing in it, if your relationships are troubled, or you have arguments all the time, don't blame the people outside of you. Look, and I call it, like, I just talk about it as a mirror. So the outside part of you is a mirror of the inside part of you, not in judgment, not in blame, just in, it is what it is. And I always say that you start with that, because if you can't feel into your body, because some people really can't, can they? Some people really can't sense that. But if you look outside and you don't like what you see, then there's probably something that needs to be shifted within you
Mhm.
vibrationally, so that that gets tweaked, the dial gets changed, the radio wave gets changed. And that's, even if people listening have got no idea about scanning, they've got no idea about energy fields, and they just found this because they were guided to listen to it, or someone said listen to it, then just have a look on your outside world, because if you love it all, that's perfect. And if there's something that you feel just needs tweaking, then it's probably needing to be tweaked within you. Would you say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, as we embrace everything that's showing up on the movie screen of our consciousness, which is the outer world, we're loving ourselves. And therefore, if you want to be the higher consciousness, you want to be the greatest contribution, that's where it's at.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect. And now with everyone, with this whole thing that's going on in the universe, with the jobs, restaurants closing, I don't know what it's like there in Chicago, but the restaurants and the bars, and not here where I live in East Sussex, on the south coast of England, but definitely London is closing down. There's just a huge amount of where people are coming into their awakening moment, because the old structures perhaps are old structures, yeah, and are
Mm,
outdated. And
mm.
so people are having to come and work from home and go, actually, quite like working from home. I have a bit of freedom. I can do what I want. I'm not surrounded by the tube trains and a huge amount of people. And maybe I can actually come in. Maybe, who knows? I mean, I'd love to hear everyone else's idea about this and comments when they listen to this show, because I love to hear everyone's expression of what they feel is going on in the world. So, Daniel, how can people get hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, to get a hold of me, they can just go to yoursacredpurpose.com. I've got a meditate and make money meditation there for people that want to experience that. I've got rave reviews on that meditation. So it's
Good.
a 18-minute meditation that works with just briefly opening up your chakras, and then lets you just listen in and see what's wanting to unfold. And um,
Wow, that sounds
those
cool.
downloads come in, so to allow everything just to unfold and happen. Yeah,
Yeah,
so they can go there for that, or if they want to contact me there and see about the possible energy scan, there's an opportunity to do that right on the front page too.
sure. Brilliant. That's great. So, I mean, I've had a great conversation with you. It's been really good fun. Is there any last words that you want to share? Oh, you've got to talk about, you co-authored a book. My guys just reminded me to remind you to say about the book that you co-authored.
Yeah, I co-authored a book called Wake Up, Live the Life You Love, Living in Abundance. There's all kinds of authors in there, all kinds of people. We do have headliners in there like Michael Beckwith and Dr. Wayne Dyer and Anthony
Oh, love.
Robbins and all that.
Yeah.
My favorite stories, quite frankly, though, are from the people, so-called ordinary people, which
Hmm.
everybody is. Those ordinary, extraordinary people, but those are my favorite stories in there,
Yeah.
and it's something that you know, you, I don't actually sell on my website, to be honest, at this
Hmm.
point, because the website's a little newer now. I
Yeah.
had transferred to another website, but bottom line is, people, if you want to be uplifted and really know that you can trust that you're taken care of and you're abundant,
Mm.
it's an amazing book for that. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Daniel, thank you so much. So just hold on there while I close the show. So thanks so much for listening in to the Spiritual Awakener. You can find me on susankennard.co.uk. And if you've got a spiritual awakening experience or something you want to share with our listeners about your life and how you help others, please do contact me, susan@susankennard.co.uk. And if you go onto my website and sign up to my newsletter, you get a free meditation too. Okay, much love, and see you on the next episode of the Spiritual Awakener.